where LaToya Ruby Frazier, Monuments of Solidarity, an exhibition of the artist-activist photo series capturing stories of resilience, is now on view. Book tickets at MoMA.org.
Maintaining WNYC's strong newsroom, helping NPR cover 2 ongoing wars and a high-stakes presidential election. It all comes at an enormous cost, and we have no paywall. We can't raise the price of WNYC because there is no price for WNYC. That's why we're asking you to be one of 10,000 listeners to donate by May 23rd. Please give now at WNYC.org or call 888-376-WNYC. And thanks.
On the next Brian Lehrer Show, Mark Hertsgaard. He's usually on as environment correspondent for The Nation magazine, but this time he'll tell us about his experience of being wounded himself in a mass shooting and the new book that it inspired called The Shooting of Deborah Cotton and a Story of Race in America. Also, our usual Monday morning politics segment, The Brian Lehrer Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on WNYC.
Marketplace Morning Report is coming up next, and later on Morning Edition. As the general election in India heats up, the country's ruling party is ramping up its anti-Muslim rhetoric. Police have opened an investigation into party leaders over a video posted on social media that opposition leaders say demonizes Muslims. Stay with us for that story coming up in about 15 minutes. The air quality is pretty good today, but tree pollen is high, though. It's currently 50 degrees under partly cloudy skies. It'll be mostly sunny throughout the day with a high around 71 degrees. And tonight, partly cloudy skies ahead with a low around 56.
How to go into debt without anyone noticing.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Twilio Segment. Segment helps every team access good data that's real-time, clean, and accurate. The result is relevant customer experiences that drive real revenue. Learn more at segment.com.
I'm David Brancaccio in New York. First, a federal judge has temporarily halted rules that would have capped most credit card late fees at $8. The rule had been set to go into effect tomorrow, but it's now on hold pending a decision from the U.S. Supreme Court over a more sweeping issue, a challenge to the legitimacy of agencies that issue rules like this. Marketplace's Nova Safo has more.
The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is waiting to find out whether the Supreme Court will uphold its funding structure or strike it down. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals struck it down, finding that the way the agency is funded through the Federal Reserve is unconstitutional. The Supreme Court is considering the case. And since that decision is still pending, a federal judge in Texas issued a temporary injunction halting the CFPB's new credit card late fee regulations, saying that until the High Court says otherwise, he is bound by the Fifth Circuit's precedent, and the CFPB's rules are likely unconstitutional as well. Judge Mark Pittman, a Trump appointee, made his decision only after the Fifth Circuit forced his hand. He had initially sent the case to Washington because most of the players in the case are based there. That was a repudiation of a tactic known as forum shopping, in which litigants look for federal courts around the country they think will be more favorable to them. But the Fifth Circuit reversed the judge's move, saying he must rule on the merits of the case brought by banks and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. I'm Nova Safo for Marketplace.
Buy now, pay later in installments. Companies like Klarna and Afterpay are big in instant loans. Press a button at checkout. A report from Adobe Analytics predicts usage will grow by 13% this year to more than $80 billion. Yet, this kind of debt is almost invisible to credit bureaus, lenders, and economists. Marketplace's Savannah Marr has that.
The buy now, pay later boom is concentrated among a certain type of consumer, says Sheridan Trent with the payment analytics firm TSG.
Among the younger generations, we've seen, increasing adoption each year. And it's just because they're becoming more familiar with it.
And it allows them to borrow with no or less than stellar credit history. But these platforms aren't reporting most loans and delinquencies to credit agencies.
Many participants in the ecosystem may not have a full picture
Delicia Reynolds-Hand is with Consumer Reports. When shoppers lean on buy now, pay later instead of a credit card, she says that obscures negative and positive borrowing behavior on their credit report. And for economists and policymakers,
kind of leads to an underestimation of the true debt burdens shouldered by households.
Unless regulators require more transparency, Reynolds-Hand says the youngest consumers' borrowing habits are kind of a mystery. I'm Savannah Marr for Marketplace.
S&P futures are up about 0.1%. NASDAQ futures are up 0.2%.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Progressive Insurance. Customers can simplify their insurance needs and protect what's important by bundling home and auto. Learn more about bundling at progressive.com. And by Fidelity, a dedicated advisor can help create a wealth plan for a full financial picture. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC.
Following a big union win last month at a VW plant in Tennessee, the United Auto Workers Union now face a new test in the South. Starting today through Friday, 5,200 workers at a Mercedes-Benz assembly and battery complex near Tuscaloosa, Alabama, will vote on whether to join the UAW. Other unions are also trying to make inroads in states with what are called right-to-work laws and anti-union traditions. Marketplace's Mitchell Hartman reports.
I was changing planes in Atlanta on my way to cover the UAW in Alabama when I started hearing about unions trying to organize more workers in the South. From airport wheelchair attendant Kayron Jones, who was hanging out by my gate while I got my scruffy shoes shined.
The cleaning companies, all the restaurants, Popeyes, we're trying to make sure everybody gets unionized because everybody's not getting paid what they should be paid.
There are efforts to organize workers at Atlanta-based Delta and at Amazon in Bessemer, Alabama. But the point of the spear is the United Auto Workers' $40 million campaign to unionize foreign-owned assembly plants across the South, says Harry Katz at the Cornell School of Industrial and Labor Relations.
Lots at stake, whether they can use the momentum from the VW vote to win at Mercedes and then try and organize other transplants, but they're going to face strong resistance by management.
There's been plenty of that at Mercedes in Alabama, says Jeremy Kimbrell, a 24-year veteran auto worker and leader of the UAW's Vote Yes campaign.
Every day, every supervisor has a meeting with their work group and either shows a video or reads off a card and tells the workers why they don't need a union.
Which sounds like this.
During a strike, employees don't get paid by their employer. And in the state of Alabama, striking employees don't get unemployment.
Mercedes-Benz didn't comment for our story. Anti-union workers I spoke to say their top pay is comparable to UAW workers in the North, and they don't need representation. The message that unions aren't welcome and might drive top employers out resonates with the region's anti-union right-to-work politics, says Cornell's Harry Katz.
There's not a strong collectivist culture. Workers don't have experience with unions, family members that have been union members.
Jeremy Kimbrell, though, does. One reason he's been at the forefront of repeated union drives at Mercedes.
It boils down to being raised by a dad who's in unions. I know what the benefit of a union is, and if you're not sitting down at the table and then agreeing to a binding contract, very doubtful you're getting your best deal.
The better deal Kimbrell wants is the lucrative pay and benefits auto workers just won at GM, Ford, and Stellantis after strikes and hardball negotiations led by a reinvigorated UAW. I'm Mitchell Hartman for Marketplace.
And the solar flares contributing to the northern lights delighting people with clear skies over the last few nights can also disrupt communication. The tech publication 404 Media is reporting that a John Deere dealership told customers over the weekend that the solar storms are messing with GPS systems that allow advanced farm equipment to maneuver with precision in the fields. Corn planting has reportedly been paused in some parts of the country, but corn futures are down 0.5% right now, so markets as yet do not foresee a systemic effect. In New York, I'm David Brancaccio, Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.